Hello, everybody. Sky Houston here with Magic 102.1. I'm super excited on this evening to be having this Women's History Month conversation with some very special and unique women. I'm excited because I believe in women supporting women. Now, the women that we're going to see today, courtesy of our title sponsor, Roxell Richards Law Firm, are brilliant women who have done what it takes to do the work behind the scenes to bring their visions to pass in front of the screen. So without further ado, I want to invite our first two guests. We'll have another friend joining us later, but our first two guests, Miss Roxell Richards. Are you there, ma'am?
I am here. I'm so
There
happy
she
to be
is.
here.
There she is. Roxell Richards is an attorney, entrepreneur, and a powerhouse over at her law firm. Let me say this, at her law firm. So, welcome to the conversation, Roxell, and thank you for
Well,
sponsoring us having this combo today.
of course. Glad to be here. You know, y'all like family, so
Yeah.
happy to do it.
All right. And then another guest on today, if we can get Miss Kat St. John on the screen. Are you there, Kat?
I am here. How are you guys doing? Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And she is the founder of bodytones.com. Now, we're going to get into a little more of what these ladies do day in, day out. But let me just ask you this. What does it mean to support other women? Tell me from your words, why do you believe in supporting other women? Roxelle, I'm going to start with you because I've seen you out in the community and you're never solo. You always have another woman that is with you. So that says a lot about you off jump.
Yes, I mean, my law firm is majority women. It just happened to end that be that way. Um, I it's very important for us to support each other. My journey to get here presently has not been easy. And it has been a woman that has helped, me be able to climb to this point. And so you kind of feel like you have a duty to reach back and continue to support other women. So that's kind of been a big part of my journey and why I try my best to give back and keep helping climb.
I am in the service of giving back and being of service to other people. And it's important to support other women because women are the glue to most families. And when you think about supporting a woman, you're not just supporting her because we know with women, they end up giving to the community, whether it's the community within their household, whether it's the community in their neighborhood, so on and so forth. And I know myself and Roxelle, I know Roxelle very well. We are givers. And because of that alone, it is very important to support
All
women.
right, ladies. Let me ask this question because being a woman in business and in the entertainment industry, I've had my own set of obstacles and things that I know I've gone through. Some that I can talk about, and some that we'd have to have way more time and a couch to be able to really go through it. But I just want to know from each of you, being a woman in business comes with a lot of unique challenges. Just by the point of being a woman, can each of you guys share where you faced maybe a significant obstacle and just how you overcame it?
Um, sure. I think for me, from where I am, the biggest part for me in the legal business is scalability, and then capital. Those are two unique things, because a legal business, specifically a personal injury business, is a little bit different.
Mhm.
Um, so figuring out how to, number one, how to operate as a business because they don't teach you that in law school. They just
Mhm.
kind of teach you the legal jargon, but they
Yeah.
don't even teach you how to practice law.
Mhm.
So you have to kind of figure out how to practice law, number one, and then you got to
Mhm.
figure out how to run a business, which I
Mhm.
guess kind of everybody's thing, but being a professional, it's a little different. It's not like going to medical school and they teach you how to do a heart transplant. So you
Right.
learn the technique. You don't learn that. No lawyer learns that. It's just kind of through trial and error and a whole lot of grace from God and just surrounding yourself with mentors. So that's a challenge. And then trying to figure out how to scale it, you know. so that you can take yourself out of practice and just be a business owner. And then three, figuring out capital. Very challenging.
Let me,
Yeah.
Kat, before you give your answer, Kat, let me ask Roxell this. Roxell, what gave you the audacity at first? Did you always say, I'm going to have my own, or was it something that happened and made you say, this is what I'm going to do? Was it a strategic move?
So I graduated summa cum laude. So obviously, and I'm not trying to just throw it out there to like say anything about me, but I've had every
No,
single.
wait, pause, pause. It's Women's History Month. We're gonna give each other all the credit we deserve. Yes,
Yes,
ma'am. You were summa cum laude.
yes.
You said with your chest.
That's funny.
You know,
Somebody here too. Yes, yes.
thank you.
Thank you. I had every opportunity given at me. Every big law firm interviewed me. The school put me up. It was like, hey, this is our student. This is who y'all need to hire. And they were throwing everything. And I turned everyone down because that was never my foresight. That was never my vision. My vision was always to be an entrepreneur. And mainly because my dad was a part of the Enron scandal. So
Mhm.
I lived through us losing everything and my dad losing his mind after giving a company 30 plus years and then having nothing. So during the process, my dad always preached to all four of us girls. Even while he was at Enron, he always taught us entrepreneurship. My dad would sit us down and teach us about Black excellence. He would teach us about, at that time, I didn't realize it, different types of mindset books. And so all of us were kind of, but then when the Enron thing happened, it was kind of like, you know, that was confirmation. So it didn't matter. You could have offered me $1 million a year. I would have turned it down and said no. So that was my inspiration behind becoming an entrepreneur because I said, well, if I go and work 30 years for a company, who's to say that that's, you know, but it's made my journey and quite transparent, being very transparent. It was a hard not journey that I decided, and I do realize now, looking back, had I probably worked for somebody, I can kind of learn their ways of how they did business instead
Mhm.
of being able to do everything from scratch. So, you know, hindsight is always 2020.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. I have more follow-up questions for that, but we're gonna come back. We're gonna put this in the parking lot. We're gonna come back to that obstacle. But Kat, what's one obstacle you feel like you had?
Whew, there was so many. First off, I did not know that I was gonna be an entrepreneur, even though I feel like my entrepreneur journey started when I was younger. I was one of the middle children out of 10 of us, and my mother used to always make me run the house. And if the house wasn't ran right, I would get a whooping. Okay. So I would get in trouble. So it was like I kind of turned into like mama manager, but not the mama, kind of thing where before my mom came, make sure the house is clean, delegating jobs, so on and so forth. And there was times where, I would make money by selling candy bars or, just doing just odd things. And I was that one, that brother or that sister, sorry, that would say, okay, you know what? We probably only gonna have beans and rice tonight. Who want to go with me up the street and get a burrito because I made a little bit of money with this. And I would sneak and do it because my mother always said, first off, you can't ask for no money from nobody. So I was like, I didn't ask for it, but I always thought I would get in trouble for making the money. And it just always came to me. So as I became an adult, I thought I was going to be like this big superstar singer, but I found myself more servicing people, always giving, always helping everybody else, leaving myself behind. So when I got into the business I got into, which is actually training and on the financial side, dealing with taxes and understanding the software of taxes, so on and so forth. When I got into that business, I merely just got into it telling myself that I'm going to do this just to get enough money to promote my music, to basically fund my music. And then
Mhm.
everybody started coming to me. And the obstacle was feeling guilty because I was the one making the most, I was the one, eventually I was pushed into being the owner of the software. And I didn't know how to tell the people that I was working with next to me, like, hey, uh, this guy has me being a partner with him as the owner. And I started feeling like that survival guilt. And I even started dummying myself down. And I started like just trying to hide and coop in myself as if, I was just like everybody else, even though I know that I was in a special position and God had blessed me and He had catapulted me into another level. And that level, it was a level literally that I got out of being honorable, out of being uh out of listening to the Holy Spirit and allowing God to guide me. Whereas at first I was guiding myself, so I was all over the place. But that obstacle of having to tell people that I was part owner, I was scared. And that was actually in that year, I actually almost lost my company because a team of women actually came against me and was like, oh, so you the owner, so you could have charged us cheaper. You could have gave us a discount. You could have did this and that. And it's unfortunate, but people assume because they know you that you should not charge them.
Yeah.
And that's where my obstacle came in. And once I got over it, the sky was the limit.
Wow. Okay, I want to talk about two things. Kat, you made me think about this. I love being able, as a woman, we have so many dynamics and so many layers to us. What both of you made me think about is I want to ask a question in the spiritual and in the natural. Being able to be a full woman on this broadcast, bringing in both of you guys have mentioned God or spirituality in some way. What kind of mindset does it take or did it take for both of you to get over the obstacle? Kat, I hear you saying your obstacle was guilt, dealing with other people, maybe success remorse or survivor's remorse. And then Roxell, I heard you talk about getting through what was happening to your family, going all the way down to the bottom. For both of you, what were the what was the mindset you had to have naturally and spiritually to overcome?
I think you have to have a mindset of just perseverance and
Mhm.
really, really having a lot of faith, and belief in yourself. I mean, I still deal with a lot of, I mean, I still deal with my bouts, just like any other human being. When you deal with new stuff and when you're dealing with different things, and then you start to kind of sometimes reality will set in, like, oh my God, what is this that I'm like in charge of, and sometimes I deal with that bouts of like overwhelm,
Mhm.
but I always go back to the God I serve, faith and prayer. And that's something that, I mean, it's a constant thing that I have to have. But definitely I always tell myself, if not me, then who, or why not me? And if I'm going through something, it's just like, okay, and then what?
What am I supposed to do now? All right.
Right.
Yeah. And Kat,
I, I believe that mindset is the most powerful thing.
mhm,
Your mindset has to be so aggressive. You have to almost be delusional. So I look at it like this. If I want a million, I say I'm going after 20 because then I'm going to get in the middle somewhere. Not only that, my confidence comes from knowing the word. On top of all of that, I understand that you're blessed in the field. What that means is you have to believe while you're working. And while you're working, some miracle will happen that God will bless you while you're working.
mhm,
And so a lot of people sit on their couch and they think that they can manifest something just by sitting on the couch, but you're blessed in the field. You don't work, you don't eat. So I understand that ideology as it pertains on the spiritual side. On the this side, everyday life is eat everything, devour it, go get it.
eat
Don't be scared.
everything.
Go after it. You may fail, but what happened when you failed last time? Girl, you got up. It
Mhm,
didn't kill you. You might have had some bruises here and there. And guess what? You might have had a friend that allowed you to talk about it maybe for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever. Because when you in business, everybody is busy. So you learn to kind of tell your things you got going on really quick and you get over it. So mindset is you have to understand you're the one. So if you're the one and everybody is after the one, what can you offer and what can they offer as it pertains to business, as it pertains to serving? And my job is to serve. And I understand that people will use you. But guess what? If they can't use you, what are you useful for? So at the end of the day, I also had to understand what my mind said, like, girl, you are not the victim. People are going to get over. What role did you play in the situation? Get over it, learn from it, and keep on going. And again, be aggressive and delusional. That's my mindset, literally.
I love it. I love it. Eat everything is what I got out of that. And add value, show value. You're not a victim. You can get something out of this too. So, what do you want out of it? I think we forget to ask that question to ourselves as women. What do you want out of the scenario? Going in, maybe asking yourself that question as you're engaging in business. What do you want out of it? And what can you give out of it? That's what I took from that, Kat. Now, you mentioned that reciprocity is what it ends up having to be. So, let me ask both of you this: who do you believe came in clutch, and what was that thing going through business as an entrepreneur, a woman that you didn't even know you needed, but somebody told you this or gave you this inroad that really helped your journey? What's the biggest support that you've had that really changed the trajectory or got you to that next level? Roxell, I know you talked about scaling up, but what was it that came in clutch that afforded you to scale up?
I've been really fortunate to have some really amazing people in my life. And when I say amazing, they are really amazing. I've had some very powerful people that have, of course, I had to be persistent and get calls through to them and be kind of crazy in terms of, hey, can I talk to you? You got 5 minutes? I just need to pick your brain. And I maybe didn't say it exactly like that, but developing those relationships with some people that are where I want to be have been key. They have been able to teach me business. They have been able to allow me to gain insight on what I needed to do to practice law better. And even there were times when I needed capital. I was able to go to these people and say, "Hey, I need XYZ amount of money." And I remember there were a couple of times I went to, these were like colleagues of mine or friends of mine, and I needed money, especially when I decided to scale and do personal injury. They just wrote me a check and said, "Here you go," and trusted me, and it was just like a gentleman's handshake, and they trusted that I would pay it back. And that's how I learned the art of scalability. That's how I learned business. That's how I learned how to make my practice be efficient. So this is why I try to go out of my way to share every single thing that I know to help any woman or any person, because I get a little bit emotional about it, because some of the things that happen to me, I know it's just literally God. It's God sent, because no one owes you anything, especially somebody that not your family. You don't have any personal ties to. You don't have any business with them. And they look at you, and it's happened to me quite a few times during my career where I've had people just say, "Here you go do what you do." And so I just go out of my way to share as much as I possibly can. And I may look crazy sometimes. And sometimes I've even had people say, "Why does she share so much?" Or trying to find something wrong. Cause it's like, why is she so nice? Or why is she? And it's just like, you guys don't know that the blessing and the magnitude of the people that God has placed in my life. So I kind of owe it, not to you, but to God.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Let me ask you something really quickly, Roxella, on that, because what I heard you say is that you were unafraid to ask. I think a lot of women run into situations where we won't open our mouths and ask for something that we need for good reason. I use myself for an example. I've had situations where I went on a lunch meeting with someone to ask for the help. Like I recognize I can't do this by myself. And I asked, and I was met with more, rather than doing business, they wanted to be personal. And I found that it made me, okay, I can't ask people. I got to do this all myself. What would you tell someone who's ran into that maybe in their entrepreneurial journey and they're like, no, I can't ask anybody. And I need to, but it's hard to persist. Like you said, you were persistent. What would you tell someone?
I think that you have to be able to use your common sense, right? And just with anything, I've dealt with plenty of those situations where I am asking for help or reaching out, and then you come to find out it's something else. And so you just have to remain professional, and you keep going, digging through the weeds. And but then, like for me, with the people that I encountered that really have been a vessel to me, we developed relationships doing business, and it was kind of like, hey, like for this one particular lady, she's a senior partner at a big firm, and it was, hey, I really like the way you run your business. Let's chat. So once we got done battling each other, we started chatting. And then I said, hey, if you don't mind, can I come to your office? And she says, I'm not in Houston. I said, I don't care, but can I just drive to your office and you sit down and give me a one-on-one on every single thing that I need to do to try my first car accident case? And she said, if you'll be willing to travel, bring your notepad and your pen. Tell you everything I know. And she's a senior partner at I mean, I don't want to put it out there, but I literally had to ask. And the same with the other people. They talked to me about business, and I just kind of went straight to the point. Well, this is what I need. This is where I am. And can you? And I just straight up asked them. You said you.
Transparency. I love it. I love it. And I want to encourage more women, be bold about it. You put yourself out there, share what your need is, share what your where you are in your journey, and see if someone else is willing to meet you where you are. That is wonderful, Roxell. I love it. And I love that you knew enough to say, I'll come to wherever you are. I think sometimes we miss the opportunity. We feel boxed in. We don't know someone, or, they don't know me. Go for it. Go for
Yeah,
it.
and
You
I
have
still
nothing to
do.
lose.
I still do. Like even now, I've been in this game, since 2005. I got my law license, 20 years. And even now, I was talking to, because I'm setting up this office, and I've set up an office in California. And so it's like I connected with my law team out there, and I talked to one of my colleagues, and I said, hey, can I come and sit with you at your next big trial? Can I come? I still do it. And they're like, sure. You want to try it with me? Try the case with me. I'm like, yeah, I'll try the case with you. And I don't care about the money. I'm like, let's try a case together. So I still do it because you never in this journey on this side, there's always something new to learn.
How about you, Kathy? What advice would you give an aspiring entrepreneur who is looking to get into their first business? You've had two businesses. What would you tell someone fresh coming in? How can they gain that knowledge? How do they go after seeking out mentorship or whatever is needed?
Well, one thing, rule of law is you don't have because you don't ask. So if you need information, ask. If you need resources, ask. And one thing my mother always said, don't you ask nobody for money. And that was one thing that was always hard for me, but I found a way to ask for opportunity without asking for money. So I started every job that I had, I would go over and beyond and do the job that's not my job for free. And so it would
Mhm.
put me in another level to the point where people wanted me to run their businesses. They wanted me to open up offices for them. I don't know if you know, but I've also had a clinic and a pharmacy as well that I owned and operated on my own until they changed the laws. So, with that being said, I didn't just have the money for that. It was a scenario where I had hired a bunch of doctors for a company, and the company went from making 100,000 a month to $1 million a month under my leadership. And after they felt like they had hired everybody and I had already got the company where it needed to be, they fired me. And I was devastated. And do you not know I had been manifesting saying, I want to make $80,000. I want to make $80,000. I want to make $80,000 in 1 month. And I was just like, I'm just trying this. I got fired, but that was the best thing that could have happened to me, because the day they fired me, 3 days later, every single doctor that I hired for them called me and said, listen, we want to come work for you. And I said, I don't have no money. I don't have no office. I don't have anything. They was like, we know, but we got the money. We'll open the office and we'll make you partner if you run it, and put us in a position where you can help us make this successful. Because believe it or not, you have doctors that know how to be a doctor, but they don't know how to run the facility. So boom, I promise you, up until I made $80,000. At $80,000, the partners fell out. And I said, I should have manifested more. But it was the fact of that job I had. I had my master's degree at that point, and I was only making $400 a week. I was barely surviving because everybody said I was overqualified, and then everybody else was saying underqualified. And it's so sad because they use your education against you so that they don't have to hire you. At the end of the day, I ended up utilizing my personality, my skill set, and my knowledge and ability to know how to run different businesses through knowing personalities of people, how to hire, how to change your tone, how to walk into a room, how to make people feel important. Even if they're not important to you, make people feel good about themselves. And guess what? Your business can boom because of that. So I use the art of my talents to give it to other people, serving other people for a little bit of nothing, and they put me in position to actually win and get more in every situation I was in. Every situation, that's my thing. I go in there for free, almost like an intern, learn everything, and they end up putting me on another level.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. What do y'all think women are missing the opportunity to do in 2025? What is something you found out and you'd say, you know what, sis, we're missing the opportunity to what?
Um, I think right now women are everything. We are, I think, we are leading in entrepreneurship, we're leading in money, we're leading in a lot of stuff. And I think alignment is where we need to be, to boost our businesses, to boost our just everything. Everything is in an alignment. I mean, I'll give you an example. I was walking into my office and a woman, she said, hey, she put together this little thing and she said, I'm raising money to be able to continue to operate my business. And so I was just asking her some questions, and I had no clue she was going through these things. But I said to myself, man, I wish I could have aligned with her a lot sooner to maybe give her some resources before it got to this point. And I just think it's just so important for us to just be in complete alignment right now as women with whoever it is that we need to be aligned with so we can, number one, get the intel that we need, right? Get information that we need, and then get access to capital. That's the biggest thing, getting
Yeah.
access to money. And you need money. Money is the only place where money can solve things is in business. It can't solve any problems in your personal life. It won't. But the place where money can actually solve things are in business. You need money to hire the best people. You need money to market. You need money to scale your business. And if we don't get that, we will open up shop and then we will close shop. We will open up
Mhm.
shop, we will die of a heart attack because we're trying to do everything and we refuse to hire. So if we can understand money, if we can understand alignment, man, we
Wow. Love
and
that answer. I love it. I love it. And what about you, Ken?
Um, the missing out on, I can't pinpoint one specific thing right now because for many reasons. But what I want to say for women, African American women specifically, keep on reproducing, keep having kids. And the reason why I say that is because we're so busy being independent that our race, the numbers are dropping. And people don't see, everybody's so busy getting the bag. that they're neglecting family. And what's happening is the reason why we are not as much of it, we're still a threat, but we're not as much of a threat. They kind of have us in the closet like, well, their numbers are lower now. We're gonna focus on the Hispanic group right now because their numbers are high. We got them where they want. We got all the women being so independent to where they're not having kids right now, and they're pushing away their husbands or whoever when they do one thing wrong because we taught them in their mindset that I ain't gonna let nobody get over on me, this and that. I'm independent. I'm this and I'm that, and I get it. And you can be all of that, but guess what? No matter what happens, you're going to have trials and tribulations in relationships. Don't give up on your marriages so easily. Don't give up on your relationships so easily. Reproduce, have your children, also have fun in life. Find that balance. But you guys, as Black women, don't stop reproducing because what happens is the fewer of us there are, the less power we have. And we need all the power we can get.
Thank you, Pat,
Wow.
for saying that. Look, you need to make sure you take a snippet of this. Please reshare. That what you just said needs to be said on so many levels. Pat, I appreciate you for saying that.
Yeah. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, because as
I'm
women,
blown away that you
so
said it.
strong. We're so strong because we've been hurt so much. We have been backstabbed. We have been taken advantage of. We have been cheated on, lied on, all these things, and we're allowing it to make us so hard. The Bible says you have to guard your heart. So you have to make sure you decipher who can and can't come around you and have a discerning spirit about it. But don't let it stop you from growing your family. Y'all are numbers. We need to make sure that we are part of making sure that we're growing. We're growing because when we leave here, who gonna be here if we all died off? Because we all being independent, we all
I
being strong, and I don't need no man, and I don't need nothing, and I don't want no
agree.
kids until da 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 da.
No, I
Y'all,
agree.
see what is going on. Look beyond the dollar. That's all I'm saying. Look beyond the bag. Look beyond the red bottoms, the shoes, the houses, all of that. When you leave, what do you have here? You can't take none of that with you. This is borrowed time, borrowed money, borrowed house, borrowed land, borrowed cars. When you leave, that car is gonna go to somebody else gonna lease that car. Somebody else about to buy that house. Somebody else is gonna buy that land unless you send it, unless you give it to your family the proper way. Outside of that, those cars and that type of stuff, it's borrowed. That's all it is. It's borrowed. But your family can live on, your name can live on if you reproduce. But we have no power if we just making money and dying off.
I agree.
I love
Thank
that. I love that. I love that. Thank you, Kat. I was just having a conversation with my son the other day, and I told him you get 100 years, right? If you look at all of our ancestors, we're big on doing our genealogy right now. 100 years, if you get to live to see 100, but what you were able to accomplish in that 100 years, what will that look like after you're no longer on this earth? What will that look like? So, with that being said, last question for both of you: what legacy do you see for yourself? What happens in your business as a legacy? What would you like to see?
this is I'm glad you asked this because I was talking with a friend of mine, Judge Vanessa Gilmore, and she was saying, why isn't succession, especially in the legal world, why isn't that like a thing? She was like talking about some of these other big law firms, and she's like, I've never met this firm. And didn't they say this firm was started in 1905? It was
Been
like,
here.
so how do you work that Roxell Richards can continue? Or, and she just started naming, um, for me, I'd like to continue. I like this legacy to continue. And the legacy that I want to continue is that you have a responsibility to be able to continue to give back to your community. You have a responsibility to lift others um, while you climb. And you have a duty to give something to the world that's not already been done. I mean, that's why I made it in my mission. My life has been all about service to people. So when it's all said and done, I want to be That's what I want people to take away is service and love and just
Oh,
continue to give.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. That's
That's
good stuff.
awesome.
Uh, one thing I could say about Roxelle, I just have to add on. She's always been a light every time I see her. And see, with her job, she's servicing people. And that's one thing when you find a business where you can service people, that's where the richness comes in there because it's on the inside. It feels good. I'm sure when she see people winning their case and they happy and they can't believe they won. And so that's what I want to leave behind. I want to make more millionaires. I want to make more women successful, more men successful of all colors, not just black, but of all colors, of all people, of all God's children. I want to leave that behind. And God willing, if my son is willing to learn my business, I would love to leave that behind as well. But if not, I would like for him to be able to live on what his dream is. And I be able to leave some resources here for him to keep his dream going on, which then keeps my legacy going on as well. So at the end of the day, I want to be known for helping people become successful financially. Like that's what I want to be known for. And I have hit so many goals. I have more goals to hit because everything we have here, including our business, it ain't ours. It's God's. It is not ours. So we gotta pass that baton on, just like how she be passing it on when they be getting that check after they win those 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 hit and run, all of that. We have to
Yeah.
pass that on. It's the power of giving and giving not just money, but love, happiness, and joy. That's what it's
Yeah.
about. And then giving that service of that vibe of that spiritual, that anointing, that giving, just the giving, the service. So let me stop because I keep
Yeah.
on going on. Yeah.
Hear you
I
talk,
love
can
it.
I just listen to you?
Yeah, I think in that moment I was liking to hear myself talk. That's why I was like, girl, be quiet now.
No, we
Yeah.
love it and we need it. That's the whole purpose of this call tonight, this conversation. We're honoring women, but we're also here to do, as both of you ladies said, to leave something, to lead with something first. Roxelle, you said you're leading with love. Kat, you keep talking about service. Those are two core characteristics I think that any woman can embody and make her own after hearing both of you. So let the ladies know, those who are able to catch this, after this broadcast, how can the ladies find you both?
Well, you can find me I'm always available at my law firm at roxellrichards.com, also known as getinjuryhelp.net, or abogada.net. That is where you can find me, and my social media is Roxell Online.
Yeah. You can reach me at Kat St. John. It's me. That's KatStJohNITSME. That's my Instagram. Or you can reach me at my other Instagram. It's a little more simple, just Kat St. John, KatStJohn. And just DM me if you want to know more about what I have going on and how I can help you in the field that I'm in, not in the field you in the field that I'm in. Because I like to stick with what I know. People like to take you out of it and be like, "What can you?" I'm like, "Listen, I'm good at what I do." I don't take the phone. I ain't singing Mariah Carey song and I can't sing it. You know?
I
Yeah.
love it. And I know I said that was going to be my last question, but let me ask this one last thing and we'll close on this. Just this week, I was on the radio talking about my son said, Mom, why do women have a month? Why do men not have do men have their month? Um, That's him texting me now. He said, why do women have a month? Why don't men have a month? So if you had to tell anyone while we're on this call today, why do we celebrate Women's History Month? Because both of you are making history for sure. Tell me in your words and we'll close out. We are celebrating Women's History Month because.
We are celebrating Women's History Month because if you look at historically, women have always been at a disadvantage. I mean, from wages, I mean, really, to me, there are still people living now who can remember as a woman they weren't able to vote. I mean, this is why I think, and we still have so far to go. I mean, we can't even basically control what happens with us in terms of our decision to do whatever we want with our bodies, right? That's regulated, right? So we're still not equal. And that's just across the board. That's not a biased statement. It's just we are just not on equal playing field when it comes to the pay, when it comes to the rights we're given, when it comes to um, how we're looked at, when it comes to being in a male dominated field. We are not even given sometimes the respect that we should be given. And sometimes, even as a woman, we're not even given the respect that we need to be given from another woman that's in the same position.
Yep.
It's just what it is. So when you talk about why we need a Women's History Month, well, the data has shown that the Women's History Month needs to be because we need to be at some point shown that we actually matter.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna let Kat go because I was about to jump all on the back of that for sure. Yes, ma'am. Kat.
Well, one thing we know is most people that have a month are the people that have been suppressed sometime throughout these centuries, right? So when you want something, you fight for it. Men could go
Yeah.
fight for that, but they have not. Women have fought to have Women History Month. Somebody went in, put that petition in, walked the line, did all of that. If a man wants that, a man, they need to go get themselves together and they go fight for it. The thing is that the woman is always fighting for what she wants. And so with this, nobody didn't just wake up one morning and say, hey, let's do a Women's History Month. No, somebody put in for that, requested for that, got approved for that, and fought for that. Meaning fought doesn't have to, not like physical, but I mean, went up there every day to the courthouse, to the Supreme Court justice, wherever they had to go to make this happen. They made it happen. So with anything you want, you have to make it happen. The men got to make that happen on their own. We can't do everything for you. That's all I'm saying.
Well, like they said, it's always been a man's world, son. It's always been you guys' world. We're just taking our piece of it. So I
Yep.
just want to thank both of you ladies, one for being present, not just here on this StreamYard today, but being present in life. Because you exist, the next can exist and use your blueprint. So I just want to say thank you, both of you, for what you do. It matters.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for your time. We appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank y'all. This is just a little snippet, y'all, a little piece of what we could do in the time we have, but we hope that you guys will stick around. And if you need their services, follow the ladies, find the ladies, and you can always find them through us here at Magic 102.1. As Roxell said at the beginning, they are fam. You guys be well and happy Women's History Month.
Happy Women's History Month. Bye.